right, here we go. We are rolling. It is time for another episode of Cash's Top 5. We have a fun one today. We are, again, still in the gray dungeon as we are making changes around here. The aesthetic is going to be really nice. Eventually, can't wait for you to see it. Very special episode today. We are meeting for the first time, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. I'm here with Bo Turner. Bo, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's kind of the end of the workday, so we're both probably a little fried, but excited to be talking about what we're talking about. People being in person, people meeting, mingling, dating. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to be ranking today. It's our top 5.
Yes, we're going to be talking about the top 5 reasons on why in-person singles events are coming back and what makes them better than the apps.
So I love this conversation because not only do we have that as a part of it, but I'm also approaching it from the angle of what should you do before you put yourself back out there? Because It's important to be ready, because I think the apps and people who have just kind of sworn off dating altogether, whether online or in IRL, for my Gen A out there, you want to make sure you're in the right space for that.
Yes.
Right? So, all right, well, let's get it started. Number 5, what do you have?
Number 1 is to just come with an open mind. That is very much what I really encourage, no matter male, female, queer, hetero, whatever. It is very much like just being able to put yourself out there and have an open mind.
We'll talk a little bit at the end where people can find you and all that good stuff, but tell us a little bit about Find Indianapolis and how your perspective on what the events that you put on and how you have come to decide that these are the things that people should follow.
Yeah, so we Find Indianapolis is a in-person events business. We primarily focus on singles events. So we have 3 main events: speed dating, single socials, which are always activity-based, and pitch a single friend event, which is like 15 people pitch their single friend in front of an audience. And so it's really exciting to just see the energy and see the people, interacting in real life. We get a lot of good feedback on, being able to meet people's personalities, and providing that space for people to have the opportunity to meet in person if they want.
That's awesome. Well, my number 5 is the same as yours. Honestly, I wrote be open. It gets a little more granular as we go, much more specific, of course. But the key thing is to be open, to be receptive, because you don't really know what to expect. I think so many people are, when they say they're out of the game when it comes to dating, not only does that mean they're not making connections in real life, but online can be a very lonely place too. It can be very detrimental to your mental health when you are feeling ignored or feeling like you don't belong or there's nobody there for you. And, that's kind of the point of what I think Find Indie is doing, is putting yourself out there and realizing there's a bunch of people out there, and you're probably missing out if you're not getting out there.
Yes. And it kind of falls into that space of when people say they have a type or they have a certain type of person they're thinking in their mind. The good thing about, our events is that you're going to meet all different types of people. So you might not, connect with someone that might be your stereotypical type. And you might meet somebody isn't your type, and that's honestly even better, because we're not putting people into specific categories or demographics. Anybody is welcome to join.
I'm so glad you said that, because it's bothered me for so long how specific people are getting with, I'm looking for a Libra or an Aries. I'm looking for a 7W2. I need an EFTJ because I'm an IN. It's like analytics in baseball.
Yeah.
It's like sabermetrics for dating. And I cannot stand how people pigeonhole themselves. Like, you never know who really might be the one for you, and you're totally ignoring them because they don't meet this Excel spreadsheet of criteria.
Yes. You definitely should have your certain deal breakers, and we do kind of take those into consideration when we are matching on compatibility with the events, but ultimately you're going to be meeting with a bunch of different people, especially for speed dating. People go on 12 dates an event, so some people are going to meet more of your preferences than others, and we don't even ask about any of those personality types. It's really values-based. Yeah.
Yes, good. Because I'm all about that. If you aren't going to be with a smoker, then yeah, I totally get that. But it's that other stuff. That,
Yeah.
Okay, so be open. We both kind of opening with the same one. What do you have it for?
The next thing to make sure that you understand before you start dating is being able to talk to people and have the comfortability to just have a conversation. A lot of times, especially with COVID, we've had that behind the screen. We've been sitting, talking on our phones. Texting and communicating digitally is much different than talking in person.
Yeah.
So it is good practice just to be able to, have those quick conversations, easily gauge if you are vibing with somebody, and also talk about yourself, but have the ability and awareness to ask questions about the other person. So these singles events are a good way to practice flirting, conversating, and also just understanding what you do and do not like in a partner.
Sure. No, I think that's great. I think we should probably try to find a way to expand it outside of just the dating realm. People can't have conversations anymore. And I've always been a naturally chatty guy. I still like talking on the phone, and I'm always like, does anybody ever want to just, talk on the phone and catch up? Or does anybody want to be like pen pals? We can write each other letters. And everybody's like, no, that's lame. Like, just send me a text. I'm like, but that's so impersonal. I want to have conversations. There's a real alchemy. There's a real chemistry to spending time with people, whether it's romantic or platonic. It's still part of that human experience. Yeah,
it's funny. I was at my co-working space earlier today, and I kept getting phone calls from people, and one of the women in the space, she's like, "Bo, you get a lot of phone calls." I'm kind of surprised. She's like, "Nobody ever calls me." So it was funny coincidence that happened. I did get 5 phone calls today, just from either friends or people asking questions about different things. But yeah, just having that conversation and not just texting, and being able to talk on the phone and then also in person, super important for those social skills.
Absolutely. Well, my number 4 for you, here's where we kind of start to drift a little bit, which is great. I didn't want to have the exact same list. But one of the things I think you should check off your list when you're getting ready to go back into the dating scene, some may think that this should be ranked higher. That's fine. You need to exercise your demons like your exes. You need to exercise your past. If you're not over your previous relationship, if there's still somebody that you are stuck on or you're lingering or whatever, it's not fair to you, and it's not fair to whatever potential partner you might meet if you haven't fully said goodbye to that in your past, because it's just going to create havoc down the road. Yes,
I agree. And it's, what have you learned from your past, and how can you adjust, moving forward? My number 3 just kind of goes into that, is therapy. To get some therapy on a regular basis, or even if you haven't started yet, it is really good just to talk through your experiences and how that has impacted you, and how you can also show up and be a good partner moving forward.
That's why you're getting all these phone calls. I feel like you're the friend therapist that has all the good advice. You can tell people this is what you need to do. Is that kind of
I don't know about that. I definitely have some friends that are really good therapists to me. But yeah, I also have a licensed therapist. Sure. But the people that are able to self-reflect and be very self-aware is just going to go farther in their relationships, personally and romantically. So.
Right on. My number 3 is probably the more, I don't want to say surface issue, but because whatever you think of it, it is important, and eventually it's going to come up. I think you need to have your financials in order. If you want to be in the dating scene, whatever your views are, if you're a traditionalist that the guy pays for everything, or you're more modern where it's a 50-50, or you don't, subscribe to those typical gender roles, whatever it is, you should probably have your shit together. You should have your ducks in a row. You shouldn't be creating codependency. You shouldn't be relying on codependency. You should be much more stable, because ultimately that's what it comes down to a lot of the time is, what can you do? What can you provide? What are you offering? What are you bringing to the table? And if you don't have that together, then you probably shouldn't be out in the dating world.
Yeah, it is. it definitely helps, and it's also kind of, I think it also depends on the age that you are. You know,
if you're
early
in your 20s,
who knows what's going to happen.
True.
But especially if you're like in your 30s and above, like, yeah, financials is super important. And I feel like a lot of times people, you know, depending on what stage of life you're in, if you have been in school for a long time, that can vary person to person. But having at least also a plan to have your financials in order so that you can both bring a secure relationship and that not be one of the factors in what might be some potential issues. So,
okay. Number 2, what do we got? We're getting towards the really important stuff that you really need to take care of before you get back to dating.
I know. The second one would be communicating that, which it might be number 1, but I'll keep it at number 2 with just being able to open up and talk to people and being comfortable with yourself and saying, hey, like, I'm not comfortable with this, or like I like this or that, especially early on speed dating events. A lot of the times you only get 5 minutes to talk with somebody. And I'm not saying you have to go deep into, you know, your past and your childhood, but knowing like, yeah, I would like somebody that has, you know, this type of lifestyle, like I want kids or I don't want kids. Like just understanding those fundamental values or lifestyles that you want and being able to communicate that with people is important, so you're both not wasting your time.
So I have a question for you. For a long time now, I've always been, and this could be a separate top 5 we could do, but I've always talked about the best things to do to buck the first date trope of dinner and a movie. I can't stand dinner and a movie. I think it's a terrible first date idea. My rule is no restaurants until the first 3 dates are done. Drinks or coffee or whatever, that's fine. I mean like a nice sit down restaurant where it's like impolite to be too loud or whatever. You're on display with each other. You're already kind of nervous because you're on a first or a second date, right? The breath, the teeth, what am I talking about? There's people surrounding us. And then in a movie where it's rude to talk for 2 hours. Right. Anyway, I've always said a great first date idea is to go speed dating together. So I think either A, you have a really fun time and you then go have a piece of pie or get drinks and discuss all the crazies you just met, depending on what the crowd's like at that speed dating event.
Yeah.
Or maybe this first date was a bit of a dud, but then you met somebody, you're like, yeah, actually there was this really cool chick at the speed dating thing. I might call her up now. What do you think? Is that crazy or is that a decent idea?
Ooh, okay, so I get what you're saying. It's like you are messaging with people and then you both agree to go speed dating together.
Correct.
Interesting.
As a first date, a couple, like you and I on a first date would go speed dating together. I don't know if that's fair to the people because it's like, well, I'm not really up for grabs because I'm here on a date.
Yeah.
But there's all kinds of expectation at speed dating. So maybe that's just what we're going to do. And then you go talk about it. You're like, oh my God, I met this guy. Oh my God, I got to tell you about blah, blah, blah. He wouldn't stop talking about trumpet practice or whatever. I think that would be a solid first date, right?
I think that's a very interesting idea. I've heard of people, if they've like met on the apps and they're not like clicking on a first date, then they'll invite each other to go speed dating as like a second thing. But I've never heard of it as a first one. That actually happened to two of my friends. They like met on the apps, went on a date, realized that they're not like romantically interested, and then so she invited him to come to one of my dating events. So they came as friends versus like romantic. But I do like your idea on the first date. That definitely takes off a lot of pressure. And you get drinks in the beginning. You go on your dating rounds, and then you can talk after as well. It's very structured. So, you know, we tell you who to sit with, who to talk to, and people aren't left to like self-socialize, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. See, I knew it. I was told I was crazy. I was like, that's a terrible idea. You should get flowers. You should do the dinner date. I'm like, I'll get flowers. I'll do that. But just the typical dinner and a movie.
Yeah.
See, okay, so I'm not a dinner and a movie
girl, especially not a movie, because you can't talk to them.
Yeah.
It's like I go to the movies by myself. Like, I don't even go with people half the time.
Thank you.
Like, that's a solo date with yourself.
I go to the movie theater. I'm AMC Club member, but I don't need people to bother me. I'm going to go a few weeks after the movies come out because I know I have the theater to myself.
Yes.
Put my feet up and enjoy it.
$5 ticket Tuesdays?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good date idea. If down the road, after maybe date 5, 6, $5 movies on Tuesdays, get the popcorn, done.
If you ever get like AMC or whoever as a Fandango as a sponsor for Find Indianapolis, and it's like, hey, we're going to do singles night. It's $5 Tuesdays at whatever the big premiere is.
I like them.
And then do drinks at the little theater bar that's there.
Yeah, I forgot that they have
Right?
bars now. That's cool. Or like even something really cool local like Can or like the ones the Alamo Draft House, you know.
That's probably the better way to go.
Yeah,
Keep
a little
that
more
corporate
upscale.
out of there. And that's nice. And plus you get to choose the feature.
Yes.
You're like, hey, can we play whatever on Thursday at 7 and it's going to be a big singles night and there's going to be drinks after? Mm-hmm. Well, of course they're going to want to do that.
I've been playing around with the idea of doing like date night events. So even if people have like met somebody at a Find event and then they're dating, they can still go to like these curated date night events.
Yeah.
So that's like in the back of my head, just rolling around in there. Might do something.
That's a good idea. That's kind of like the adult version of like a red light, green light, yellow light party where single, not single, I'm kind of deciding.
Yeah.
But a much more classy version of that, I would imagine.
Yes, but I'm also trying not to make it swingers-esque. So I
Yeah,
need to be
yeah.
careful with the marketing so that people know it's more of like couples meeting couples for friends. If that happens, like to each his own, but
Right.
not the intention.
My number 2 for you is you need to know who you are. And that's kind of falls into the therapy umbrella.
Yeah.
So many people, and I've been guilty of this plenty of times, you want to try to seem cool. You want to be perceived as cool. You pretend to like things or, one of the key things for me, I'll just make it personal. I hate beer. Mm-hmm. And craft beer has been such a subculture for our generation. Going to the brewery and sitting on the uncomfortable chairs and paying too much for this crap, and there's dogs everywhere. I love the dogs, but I hate beer. I like a nice rum and Coke. I'll drink some wine if it tastes like fruit punch. I'm in. But for a long time, I would always be like, well, all the bros will love their craft beer, and that's how that goes. But no, if you are true to who you are and you really find out who you are, my friend Chris Bowers had a joke back when we used to do stand up here at Morty's on the north side. On a first date, break out your Star Trek outfit and have like a little bell next to where you are. Like have all this goofy stuff that's really who you are, because the right one is going to accept you for who you are. So don't hide yourself. Don't try to be a representative. Be true and know who you are. That way you're not miserable down the line, and that way you can really attract who should be with you.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. In our mission, we say, find is very much a place and a space for you to find yourself, find friends, and then ultimately find love. Because you're going to have those two things in order. You need to understand who you are, have a solid, friend group and community that loves and appreciates you for who you are, and then you can find love and be able to find a partner that accepts your friends and yourself.
That's awesome. Number 1. We've reached number 1. What do you have? In-person dating. The checklist that you want to make sure you have everything in order to make sure you're in the right headspace to date. What's the number 1 on Bo Turner's list? Mine
is confidence. And it kind of goes with your number 2 of knowing who you are and being comfortable with yourself. But confidence is really key, especially when you're meeting people in person. It is making sure that you are comfortable with who you are and presenting yourself and being able to communicate that. It kind of takes everything that we said into consideration. So confidence is my number 1.
Like true confidence or can you get away with like feigned confidence, like faking it till I make it? I'm pretending like I really know what I'm doing.
True confidence for sure. You can do the fake stuff for a little bit, but it's going to come out. Maybe date one or even a speed date, you're going to get by with it, but
just to get you in.
Just to get
feeling
you in.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
And then build from there, like the real stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because people are going to find out pretty fast once you start having those deeper conversations if who you are is who you say you are.
So my number one kind of ties into that a little bit. It's been great. Love this conversation, talking about dating and relationships and all that stuff. Not only do you need to know who you are, you need to know what you want. Who are you interested in? There's all kinds of different relationship dynamics now. It's not just what it was when we learned it in the health textbooks when we were in middle school. But do you want to be monogamous? Do you want to be non-monogamous? Do you want to be this? Do you want to be that? Who are you genuinely attracted to? Who do you really want in your life? How can they enrich what you already have going on? We already talked about you want to be stable in who you are. You want to have a pretty self-defined sense of purpose and identity. Know who you want. You know, it's not like, oh, I only like redheads. Not that base level. Genuinely, what is going to make you happy? Because if you keep chasing what you're not sure, if you're just looking for companionship, that mostly will end in heartbreak. That's my number one, is know what you want.
I like that. Can I push back a little bit on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Controversy. Some people just don't know.
I think yes. I think depending where you are in life, people don't know. So it is going on those dates, going and meeting a bunch of different people and finding that out. Your list can definitely change and fluctuate. You're like, oh, I thought I wanted this, and actually I don't. Date for a few months. You know, I think that is the learning process of dating and relationships. My husband, I never thought when I was 16 years old that I would be married to a professional poker player. Like, that was not in the job descriptions of lists that I thought that I would want in a partner. But it has turned out to be so wonderful, and it is very different, unique. And when I was like going on dates, I never was like, oh yes, I want a gambler husband, you know? But we click on other things. So it is fun I think that's what it is, especially dating in your 20s, finding out what you want, adjusting that list. And then when you are ready to settle down, or just get into a more serious relationship, then you have a more solidified list on your hard yeses and nos.
Okay. Well, I think you misunderstood me. I said my number one was confidence. I wrote confidence down.
Yes.
Not know what you want. That may have been a more personal choice. Bo, thank you so much for taking the time to do this top 5. This was a lot of fun. I always love, these are the kind of chats that I love to have. It's the getting in there, mixing it up, talking about people and all the awesome and grimy and weird and all the in-between that comes with dating and just getting to know people. So I'm genuinely fascinated by this. So please tell us about Find Indianapolis. Give us a little more information on the events you have coming up. We've got Pitch a Single Friend, which I love that concept. I think that's fantastic. Tell us about what you got coming up.
Yeah, so we have, our calendar is ready for April and working on May. We have a big game night coming up at the end of March. We have a singles day, and we also have a friends day. So if you have a friend group or you want to bring your significant other, it's kind of like a date night friends event. And then we also have a singles one where you can it's more romantically focused on singles. Game night is going to be so much fun. It's not just like a board game. It's very much party games. We're bringing in a guy from Los Angeles who grew up in Indy. So he's coming back to host these fun party games. If you like Mario Party, then you're going to like these types of games. It's very interactive mini games, also with a tabletop version. And then in April, we have our big Pitch a Single Friend event, April 18th. That is where we have 4-minute PowerPoint presentations of singles on stage, and they pitch their best friend.
I love that.
Yeah. And it's great energy. So if you want to be on stage, you can apply to pitch your single friend. You can also be in the audience and virtually raise your hand if you see somebody on stage. And we also have some other singles activities for people in the audience. Yeah. So last time we had over 300 people there, and excited to bring that back again in April.
And so to find all this, to see your calendar and what's the website, hit us with the socials, where can people find you?
Yep, on website, it's findindianapolis.com. That is also on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Find Indianapolis. And our events calendar is on Eventbrite, on our website, on social, so you can find events all those different ways.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Bo. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.